What's up, YouTube and Spotify? This is Black Spaces, and we are your brothers from the mother planet, here with your LGBTQ plus take on Black Sci-Fi. No matter what your pronouns or how you get down, we have a unique critique for you. So if this is your brand of critique, like, share, and subscribe to keep Black Spaces alive. And how is everyone doing this evening? I'm Ulysses, and we have Todd and Brother Milton here, and we are going to navigate your way through the Black Space of Star Trek Discovery, Season 4. Woo! All right, how y'all doing tonight?
Doing good.
Doing well.
Doing good. We hyped, we ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
You throw in a galactically gorgeous or something to describe us.
Well, galactically gorgeous.
Yeah, galactic or holographic hunks or something, some alliteration or something.
Well, I'm going to have to think about that. In case you hadn't noticed, I'm not really one to go around throwing around compliments.
What?
I just don't do it.
What?
But I can always say you're my beautiful brothers from the mother planet.
Oh,
how about that?
Oh,
that works.
Because you are. Because you are, Blanche. You are. Okay. All right. So we're going to get started here. And what I want to ask is, we're doing season 4 now. So what do you guys think of the season? Do you have a favorite episode? How's it really hitting you?
Well, I'll start off. Season 4. Well, I'm thinking of the transition into season 4. We know the last episode of season 3. Burnham is now captain. She sits in the chair. She gives her, her tagline, of "Let's fly," and then
they fly off into space.
Exactly. Oh yeah, the Black Alert.
Right. Black Alert. But now, like going into season 4. Mm-hmm. We have the Federation is growing, mm-hmm. right? And we have this brand new threat that destroys Book's home world and it is threatening the entire galaxy. And we have this anomaly that we have here. So that's where it, kind of sets the stage for us. And well, how do you like where it's going so far?
I like it. I also like the transition of the uniforms. They went from the gray with just a little color to indicate, the different areas to now they have the full color block, suits. So yeah, so the uniforms look great for season 4.
Yeah, and if you notice at the bottom, they got one sleeve, one side a little longer than the other.
That is true.
Just a little bit, just a little style.
Heaven forbid anything be symmetrical.
I know. But yeah, it's going good so far. The new threat is great. I really like this series in that it's a continuous arc. You can think of some of the other series where you will have an arc, but it's not touched on every episode. Mm-hmm. They'll revisit it from time to time, but this series definitely takes you on a journey or an arc of this, like you mentioned, this anomaly, and then the idea of maybe seeing a new species. It's kind of exciting, especially an advanced species that could threaten the whole galaxy and the Federation and could wipe them out in the snap of a finger. A la kind of the Borg or who was torturing Jean-Luc Picard? Yeah, the Q continuum.
Q continuum.
It kind of brings those things to light. So I'm all in for season 4 so far.
All right, and you, Todd?
You know what I like about Star Trek is that it keeps reimagining this line of this thin line between so-called good and evil. And the thin line is one where so literally this anomaly is this being is imagined as this big eye in space, right? This huge humongous eye of the galaxy,
Yes.
right? But it ain't
Giving
like,
you Eye of Sauron.
like giving you
Yes.
eye silent, yeah. But
Right.
but it's not. It ain't like Star Wars. They're like, well, how can we build a bigger Death Star? It's like no, let's reimagine this. And the threat is so much that oh, this thing is so huge that it doesn't. It may not even know we exist. It's just out there through this controller is mining boronite. This rare substance in the galaxy, and it doesn't even know we here. And so, but to me, there's a lot. But that thin line between good and evil is: do you destroy what you think ultimately has brought about destruction, or do you try and make first contact? And of course, then there's that both romantic but really philosophical or
Moral conundrum.
No, moral conundrum, right? Moral conundrum, and that tension between Booker and Burnham around, and you feel for the brother, but you're like, you could be wrong. if y'all take it out, you could be wrong. so I like that. I like that the back and forth that it's giving you in terms of drama.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like well, I'm totally in for the season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Even though this anomaly just kind of it worries me because it's like they really didn't have but 5 minutes to breathe and something new then came out.
Yep,
You know what I mean? But I guess that's what makes good television, right?
that's right. That's right.
But, the question of the anomaly, especially when it comes to book, it made me think about, we all kind of quarterback these things like, oh, well, he shouldn't be making that decision, or, how could he decide these things for, millions upon billions of people, billions really, of people. And then I'm like, well, what if I had to make that decision? I think and try to consider like, it's one thing to talk about it, just kind of abstractly, but if you have to have your finger on the button and you have to make the call, could you make the call? So I kind of like that. I like that they made him. Book has always been an emotionally kind of available character, just not your average, just kind of closed off individual. But you see here that he's like really emotionally compromised. And then just trying to navigate that, and then Burnham trying to navigate him through that. So I like that part. I like their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I like watching their relationship, especially because it's not always all good.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it more just personal. It makes it more real, to me. So, and then, like I've said before, I'm all in because of Burnham. I'm here for her braids. I'm here for whatever she has to say. I'm here for whatever she has to do because she's a boss. Okay. So, yeah, definitely here for that. But you were going to say, Ty?
So from my little bit of research, the producers initially when they drew were sketching out the Booker character were thinking of Han Solo initially, but I'm like, if you decided that Han Solo is going to be this sensitive, compassionate, connected to nature, beautifully chocolate man. If that's what you decided,
Check, and check. Yeah, pretty
with
much.
them gorgeous eyes. Every time he looks at the screen, I look back at him.
I hate it.
I like Michael. Good thing y'all together.
You like,
you staring at me?
staring at me? Is he staring at me? Yeah.
This connected to these, wonderful beasts and can talk. I mean, the nature of his planet is one where they talk. They're in communion with nature. So to me, it's kind of interesting that initially they started off sort of Han Solo because he's a trader, he's a broker, he
Right.
kind of connects.
A smuggler.
He's a smuggler,
basically, and all that kind of comes with it. But he doesn't have to be a scoundrel.
No, he's not a
at the same time. Yeah,
right.
Not a rogue. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And then even how he and Michael met when they, their first meeting was a fight.
Oh yeah.
And
it's so funny.
It was still the flirtatiousness in the fight, even when she finally got him on the ground and had the phaser in his face. I thought she was going to kiss him. I was thinking that's what I might do, but still, she had the phaser right there, and I was like, wow, they kind of had that energy from the jump. So
they always had that energy, but I was in no danger of Michael just randomly kissing somebody. Knowing her. She is not. Now she is the opposite of emotionally available.
Right. And
you know what I mean? And I think that's what makes it I like that dynamic. That's what makes it kind of work. I think he got her to kind of open up. She became a changed person after the year that she spent with him.
Mm-hmm.
When you get into it, when you dig down into it.
and the irony, Ulysses, is that they kind of flipped now, right? He's become cut off and closed because of his grief.
Yeah.
And her love for him.
She's become super compassionate.
And whereas the old Michael, you couldn't see that commander coming on her ship with the admiral's order saying, if you mess up, the commander has the right to commandeer the ship and to force you to do the right thing, to shoot down Booker's ship. Well, Michael said,
that wouldn't have flew a couple seasons back.
Yeah. No, Michael won hell no. The one.
She'd have blew her out of airlock somewhere.
Like, yep, that's what I was.
Because Michael's a boss.
Yeah, and it's also, also just as an aside, it's also kind of interesting that Saru, who's also a very beloved figure, he's just also this very emotive figure, right? That they didn't demote him to lieutenant. He's captain.
He's still captain.
She's the
commander. Yeah, working side by side with her.
But they're working side by side, and so when he sits down as captain, they call him captain anyway. So anyway, I just thought that was an interesting. But they've always had this deep, this abiding and loving friendship, and I think he's also been someone who is deep in Michael's understanding of herself, along with Book. So now when she can't call on Book, she can call on Saru.
Yeah. Her brother from another.
Her brother from another mother.
Yeah. But okay, all right, moving on. Now I want to know. Now we've talked about it in the past, whether or not it was good sci-fi. So going into season 4, has it taken a turn? Is it still good black sci-fi? Still good sci-fi? Are we still in that same vein, or has it changed up for you? Let me know how you feel about that, Melvin.
It's still good sci-fi, definitely. I just finished episode 9 as we are taping today, and I'm all in. I'm definitely curious about this anomaly. I'm looking forward to where it's going. So it's still good sci-fi. I definitely see, as far as the black side of things, more bridge officers. So now we have the 2 black men as communication officers. And they kind of swap out, from episode to episode, if you've noticed. And I'm not quite sure of the new one's name or why there's the switch, but I guess it would be like any job. You have to have multiple people who could do that job.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes sense. So definitely, more of a presence of Black men along with now Book, of course, being her, her partner and her lover on the series, and him and his ship there, and literally right there. So it's going well. So it's still good sci-fi, absolutely, in season 4.
Yeah, one thing I find interesting to call it black sci-fi, with this 4th season, is that you have Lieutenant Commander Owosakun, or Lieutenant Commander Owo, who accompanied the captain on that clandestine mission to find Book and his fellow collaborators, his collaborator, when they're trying to find that rare resource that they need to create the bomb for the controller. And to me, it's this interesting thing that's like, no, we're going to have 2 Black women go into this smuggler's den and kick some ass.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this casino, and kick some ass in order to get this rare resource, And to me, that's it. That's the intriguing thing. Is like, no, we ain't. She's the lieutenant commander and she's the captain. Of course, they would go on this mission together. Now, I can't remember any other episode in Star Trek where you had 2 Black women walk up into the joint as the main characters to encounter another 3rd character who's Black on the other side. So that it's sort of unapologetic Blackness up in there. Again, I don't know if it makes it Afrofuturism, but it does make it Black sci-fi. And good Black sci-fi, in my view.
Okay.
All right. I can dig it.
Yeah, that was a good scene. You just brought me back to that. That was really an amazing scene. I really thought about that. And then the way she fought that bigger man, and eventually, got the best of them. So
whooped his tail. Yeah. Yeah. I like yet again from that very same episode, the card game.
Okay. Yes.
How that played out. Especially in our community.
Okay.
You can interpret that however you want to interpret that. But how we tend to speak to each other and speak in code with each other so often is subliminal messages.
But you mess up the space.
Right. And there was so many things going on there. They were talking about an old situation, but then they were also talking about the game, but then they were also talking about their relationship.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was that kind of multi-layered conversation that was happening there between them that I thought was so well written. And worthy of their relationship. They really have spared no expense writing-wise when it comes to how they played out their relationship. And, I appreciate that. But other than that, the tech is still good tech. The Black love is still Black love until it ain't. And we're getting a lot of Black love on the screen too. Getting shown a lot of love anyway. So I guess for me that makes it's good Black sci-fi.
Yeah. It's good to know there'll still be Black love 900 years in the future.
Yes. How about that?
Or 900 plus years in the future. Yeah.
Talk about make it last forever. But so we talked about whether or not it is good Black sci-fi. Now, what do you think about, to piggyback off of that, good Black representation and good LGBTQ representation? Starting with you, Todd, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you good. You good. Start with you.
To me, it's interesting because this season it's just it's sort of like the the LGBTQ representation, the Black representation, they are so normalized in the show that you almost have to kind of go back and say, okay, now, like Milt was saying, oh yeah, that's right. It was two Black women in that context, and we haven't seen that before. I think with the doctor, with Wilson Cruz's character, and he and Stamets, in terms of their relationship, then I think their relationship is showing the ways in which love is just love and healing just healing, and so in the same sense that, and when you think about it, it's sort of all of these non-white, um, queer, or either non-white and or queer relationships that speak to love in Star Trek, and is the lens that folk have to look through to analyze things, like the fact that the doctor is taking so much onto himself because he's got to heal others, right? And he's literally almost breaking down. And so Stamets sort of has to tell him, listen, what are you doing? This is what you tell me. Your love has shown me that this is what you should do in order to pull back. And so it's sort of just very matter of factual, very normalized. And it's very, we're in the midst of this pandemic. And so I think that particular types of scenes where queer characters are queer or non-white characters are leading the way in terms of us thinking through the various traumas we're all suffering now, and even this anomaly, that they might as well call it COVID because it's sort of like it's unending. We don't know when it's we don't know its dimensions. We don't know
when until you can deal with it, everything stops. Okay?
Everything stops. right. Everything stops. So anyway, I think that representation is so normalized now that it's sort of it's providing some really depth of character. They're not having to play gay characters. They're not having to play Black characters. They're playing characters who are themselves. And in that, there's the beauty of what they share with everyone else who wants to learn something, to grow in watching the show. I don't know. I'm rambling a little here, but
no, you're good. You're good.
That's what I'm thinking in terms of it's very matter of fact. Very matter of fact.
Okay. All right, Milton, what you think?
I kind of agree with Todd. I think I'm in the mindset where it just seems normal, if that makes any sense. Meaning that I really have to sit here and think about the representation of LGBTQ, and of course we have the doctor, but I haven't seen as much, I guess, this season with oh my gosh, I can't remember the young lieutenant.
Adira,
right? Yeah. But then I think, though, we had one to go to Trill to then take on a new responsibility. So I guess, that relationship is now on pause. But I think also we may begin to see more as they maybe broaden the characters a little more. Like as Todd mentioned, that episode with Lieutenant Commander Owo, that was the first time I think she's had that many lines, And so maybe what we'll get is what we've had in other series where we'll dive into, the bridge officers a little bit more. And they may not get an entire episode, like maybe on a Deep Space Nine or, on Next Generation, where you could have a whole episode about Mr. Data or a whole episode about Mr. Worf. Where you deep dive, their history, their families, so that doesn't seem to be the direction the writers are going to go in. But it would be interesting to see, though, if they begin to sprout more, relationships, Mr. Saru and then the president of the New Vulcan, we can kind of see, kind of a budding, flirtatious relationship there. But as far as the LGBTQ, it's there. I'm more than satisfied with what we've had and what we currently have, and yeah, so I would be willing to see if they do expand on the other characters where it may go.
Yeah, I agree, but also like you were talking about OO, there were this seemed to be the most amount of lines that she had, but I went back and I have been watching season 2, and where they went on an away mission to like a colony of humans on New Terralisium or something like that. But before they went, Burnham recommended Owo to go because she said she grew up on a Luddite in a Luddite community, which means Luddites are like anti-technology.
Right.
They believe they're not the opposite of technocrats. Okay. Which I thought was interesting. And then that was kind of the most I had heard about anything dealing with her background, but then they picked that up and then they dropped it right there. So since then, this episode, as you mentioned, that was like the first time I was like, oh, okay, well there's more to her. Oh, and she's really determined too. Oh, and she kicks ass. Okay. All right. I'm with it. I'm definitely with it.
You don't think it's a tie-in, do you?
You said?
You don't think there's a foundation tie-in, do you?
No. Well, I don't know. She could be somebody's child from Foundation.
She could.
But yeah, the way that thing's set up, that's a whole other episode. She does have that
determined look, though. Don't she get that look in her eye? And
she has a determined look, and then there were times where I noticed she would look at oh God, that's the one at the helm.
Navigator Detmer.
Yeah, she looks at Detmer a particular way. You know what I mean? Well, I couldn't tell what way that was, but it's a way, and it's affectionate, it's caring, it's concerned. But I could never tell whether or not it went any deeper than that. And I don't know if they're going to flesh that out any, or we'll know a little more by them giving us more information about the characters. But I've noticed looks, and they're quite close. And I'm not going to take it any further than that, but I'm curious if they are.
Okay.
So that being said, yes, I do like the representation. Also, the LGBTQ representation. I believe it was this season where Gray got the new body, right? Where the doctor made Gray the new body.
Yes. Oh, yeah, it was in 4.
Yeah. So that was pretty groundbreaking.
This is true.
To see someone who was already trans get the body,
right,
and get put in the body that they belong in.
That's right. That's right. Powerful.
And that matches their internal. So I thought that was a beautiful moment where they had the opportunity to play that out, and yet again, like I mentioned before, the normalizing. You know what I mean? It was a thing. It was a conversation that was being had. It was work being done. And that's it. There was no pitchforks and picket signs. There was no uproar. It was simply a thing. And they did the thing. And then life went on and the world didn't end.
That's right.
Like they had a few trolls online, but they're going to always be there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they're always going to be there.
Yeah.
But I thought it was an opportunity, and I think they took that opportunity and did well by it. So yeah, I thought that was beautiful representation, and it was tastefully done. It wasn't vulgar, which is where most people kind of want to take that to the vulgar side, but it wasn't. It was quite beautiful. So yeah, All right. So moving right along, we're just going to move on into our final thoughts. And we got to do our ratings. So on a scale of absolutely horrible to out of this world, scale of 1 to 10, starting with you, Todd, what do you think so far in this season? How far have we gotten, and is it still to your liking?
Definitely is. Definitely is. I gave a 9 in my last rating, and I still maintain my 9. Because I think that the show just gets, from my perspective, just keeps getting better and better. I'm more and more intrigued. They're not doing stuff on the cheap. They're kind of like really thinking through. I haven't said a lot about the science, but they're thinking through the science a hell of a lot. They're thinking, I mean, which you got to do on Star Trek. You can't, I love Star Wars, but you can't have no magical science. You got to kind of like have some premise, some notion based in science, because that's Star Trek. It's very much steeped in deep science fiction. So they're doing that well, as far as I can tell. But the characterization, which has always been a hallmark of Star Trek too, is sort of you care about that relationship between Bones and Dr. Spock. You care about how these characters are drawn, and you're invested in them. And I think they're just making us care more about them. I'm curious. I know we're going to episodes 10, 11, etc. will tell us. I'm wondering exactly what this book's fate, because it's like, okay, is she going to be visiting him in the Star Trek Sing Sing, or what? What's it going to be? It's also, I will say that we haven't said a lot about that interesting tension between this new president of the Federation, the admiral, and the captain, and I think that I'm intrigued to see what that relationship revolves more, because clearly, they haven't saved the universe. The anomaly might be coming for them. Because it showed up again and said, "Hello, what did you just do?"
Right. How about that?
It rebooted.
And so they're like, "We didn't save the universe," and which is good. Which is, you don't always want if the heroes never fail, then there is no suspense. There is no really humanity.
That is true.
And so the fact that no, they might have something coming from them really big, and they might not be able to do the Federation thing of let's speak diplomatically and get out of this. So it's getting better as it goes along, and so I really like the show. I do.
So your rating?
Oh, my rating is still a 9. Still a 9.
Still a 9. All right. All right.
They give me a date with book, I'll give them a 10. So just the one.
All right, Milton. So what do you think?
I'm definitely enjoying season 4. While I believe this is different than its predecessors in the Star Trek universe, but you still get the familiar things. You get the familiar sounds when they walk onto the bridge. Those familiar sounds, from the original Star Trek. You always, of course, will be in some kind of jeopardy that involves the shields being at 20%, 10%.
Right.
We will only survive 30 more seconds. Hit it, So it's still that drama of Star Trek that we're so familiar with.
Have you out many red shirts this season?
Have we lost any red shirts this season?
I haven't noticed, because everybody's been on pins and needles, but
I think it's about time. I think it's about time for some red shirts.
Exactly. But still, it's still Star Trek though, and I'm definitely impressed with the writing when it comes to the nature of Book, and I forget the character who's assisting him in building the weapon. Yeah, because he wants to get home, and then Book wants to, I don't know if it's a combination of revenge along with trying to protect the rest of the galaxy. But you can kind of see that they kind of built that up over time, with Book having the flashbacks to his brother and his nephew and things like that. So I'm definitely interested to see that arc. And then this show always has characters push the limits, but not just push, they cross. Burnham committing, her acts, and now Book, she's warning him, you're gonna, go to a level where you can't come back from. And so this show always has characters push, and you see, it feels like they can't come back from it. But of course, we hopefully that they will come back. And then finally, with the anomaly, I am so excited to see where this goes. The whole concept of a particular anomaly, 5 light years in size, that can then just squash. It's kind of like us walking on an ant. We don't realize the havoc we're reaping on ants or their habitat as we maybe walk across our own yard or drive. And we are just oblivious to it. So just the idea of an ant saying, hey, you messing with me, leave us alone. Like, what? So I'm thinking it's going to be something like that where they're going to be like, oh, okay, we didn't realize we're doing this, or hey, we got to do it, So I'm interested to see where this is going to go. And my rating is still a 9. Like I gave for the series in the first 3 seasons, they're definitely continuing. Good writing. So I'm looking forward to the rest of season 4. So a solid 9.
Okay, I can take it. Well, if I had to rank it, yeah, I think I would give it a 9 as well. I like where they're taking it. The turmoil between Book and Burnham is definitely, it's making me tense. However, right now I'm ready for a reveal. I'm ready for some kind of big reveal. Okay. This anomaly has got me on edge. It got everybody in the show on edge. I'm tired of being on edge. I need something to, come into fruition. They thought they had it figured out. Then they thought they had a way to stop it, and they were all wrong. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm ready for some kind of reveal on this one. But definitely give it a 9. It keeps me coming back every week to watch the episode as soon as it comes out. So, yeah, still a beautiful show for me. Still all the representation. It gives me all the things. Okay, it gives me all the things.
It's like the Eye of Sauron. So maybe Gandalf or somebody will show.
Something, some kind of cosmic wizard.
There we go.
Give me something. Give me something. I could do with a little, sword and sorcery type, magic going on in here. Something. I don't care what it is, but y'all gonna let me know where this thing is from. Okay. But okay, gentlemen, that being said, I want to thank you for your unique critique tonight. I want to remind our viewers, if you still like the content, by all means, like and share. Tell a friend, because we need to keep the page alive. All right. That's all we got for y'all this evening. All right. Y'all want to say your goodbyes?
What is that corny line I give? Oh, you're on the backhand side, on the blackhand side, and in the future. That's my
and in the future. All right. Peace, y'all.
My best Vulcan sign. There we go. Yeah.
What did it say? Peace and long life.
Yeah, man. Long life.
Live long and prosper.
Long and prosper. There you
go. All right, good people.
All right, peace out.
Peace.